Hi, I'm Alan, and this is UK. I wanted to take a little bit of opportunity to talk to you guys about changes that were made in Boy Scouts of America and their caving program. Actually, the changes I just want to first off say were for the better, and I wanted to thank all those people who worked really hard to get this done and get this out and make make caving a possibility in BSA. As you all well know, before caving had certain restrictions in BSA for several years, and with this past changes, I want to let you know exactly what they are and what they mean, and hopefully how I interpret them as to being a very positive change. And I wanted to read from you first off. This is the section of the guide to safe scouting on caving, and they actually call it caving this time and not just cave exploring. So anyway, caving. Caving is a specialized activity requiring advanced planning and technical skills. Scouting units participating in caving must follow the guidelines set forth in Cave Safely, Cave Softly. And there's a link, and I'll put that down below. Cub Scouts and Webelos Scouts are encouraged to visit commercially operated caves and lava tubes. For commercial operations, leaders should follow the guidelines set by the operators and reference Cave Safely, Cave Softly for more information. The leaders follow the guidelines. When I say leaders, that means the leaders of the unit, whether it's the Boy Scout troop or the venturing crew or whichever BSA unit it is. It's the leader's responsibility to follow the guidelines. Non-commercial, easy caves with no access controls. No access controls. We'll leave it like that for right now. Such as those in parks where people of all abilities are allowed uncontrolled access, may also be suitable for Cub Scouts and Webelos Scouts. There are some caves in some parks that you can just walk into and explore on your own without any special equipment. They're very elementary, very, very, very easy wild caves. They're not a commercial cave where you have somebody with a flashlight and you're not walking on paths with guide rails and somebody telling you where this crack goes and the interpretations of the stories that were told about the cave. Boy Scout age youth are generally mature enough to enter easy wild caves. Boy Scout age youth, meaning if they're able to join a Boy Scout troop, and generally from last time I heard it was 10 and a half and completed the 8th grade. Okay? Which means easily accessible. Non-technical, non-vertical caves. Non-technical, non-vertical caves. Easily accessible. Non-technical, non-vertical caves. Vertical caves, if you don't know what is meant by that, it's anything that where we use ropes and do use rope climbing for a way to get into and out of a cave, or inside of the cave. Sometimes inside of the cave there are areas that may only be accessible by rope. Those areas are off limits unless everything else except for those areas are accessible by Boy Scout age youth groups. There are some caves that I know of around. I know one specifically in West Virginia that anybody can walk into. It's very easy to get into. There's a lot to explore in there. There's some parts of it that are vertical that you do need to have the equipment and the training in order to get into that area. But for most of the cave, it is accessible just by easily accessible by horizontal caving. A wild cave, as it puts wild cave in quotes, is anything that is not commercially operated with a professional guide, professional tour guide. A wild cave is anything that is not commercially operated with a professional tour guide. This, I have a little bit of question about the wording on it, but what they are talking about by a wild cave is anything that is not commercially, where you actually pay a ticket and you pay the owner operator to actually go inside the cave with their guide, somebody that they have that takes you through the access. Something like that. In Pennsylvania, Crystal Caves is a good one. Laurel Caverns out on the western part of PA is a good one. There's all kinds of other caves within Pennsylvania. Indian Echo Caverns. There are tons of them that are considered commercially operated with a professional tour guide. They're not talking about those. Those are okay for the Webelos, for Cub Scouts. But anything that is a wild cave is only for Boy Scout age and up. Older Boy Scouts, Varsity Scouts, Sea Scouts, and veterans should be ready to explore more technical wild caves, depending on what you consider to be a technical. For me, a non-technical cave is anything where it's pretty much all horizontal. There may be some climbing, but it's non-technical climbing. Big, just like walking up staircases or climbing over rocks that are maybe the size of a office desk. No ropes involved, no hand lines involved. Other things that could be considered technical. If a cave has an appreciable amount of standing water in it, something not just deep enough where you have to swim, but if you're in standing water or even flowing water for any amount of time, hypothermia could be an issue, and I consider that to be somewhat of a technical cave because you really have to have the right equipment so that you don't get into the hypothermic stages. There are other things that could make something technical, whether it's have considerably tight passages, something that may have passages that have exposure. By exposure, I mean anything where a ledge that you could potentially fall off or something like that. But it's not saying that older scouts cannot do those. It's just saying that they should be trained appropriately for those types of trips. So just want to let you know, this is out. It's okay to take kids, scouts from Boy Scouts on wild cave trips if they're a member of a troop or Boy Scout ages, youth, any Boy Scout age youth, so that would also include Varsity Scouts, Sea Scouts, and venturing crews. This is just part one of this 3-part series that I'm going to do a little bit of a live thing on, and the next, hopefully what I want to do is go over this. This is the Cave Safely, Cave Softly that they talk about in here. And this is kind of in depth, and it's a little bit much, and it's a lot more in it than this is. So what I'd like to try to break this down into a couple of episodes here, a couple of things that we're doing here, so that we can cover these things in a little bit more detail. And I also want to give you a chance, if you have any questions about this, just put a comment below. We'll do the best we can to answer it, or questions about something else, please feel free to put a comment in. We'll answer it. And if it's anything that really needs an in-depth talk about, we could talk about it right here. Well, I want to thank you for taking a moment and looking at this and watching this. And please feel free to like this and share this, and it'll help put it up in the algorithms of Facebook so that other people in the caving and in the scouting community will see this and hopefully get some value out of this. Thank you very much. Bye.